Hello, hello. Tell me when we're rolling. Yeah, okay. Welcome back, besties. Welcome to Talkin Schmitt. It is your mother, Brittany Schmitt. I'm so excited to be here with you this holiday week. Happy ho holidays. I hope your guys' week is off to a great start. I have a few announcements before we hop into the podcast. First and foremost, upcoming shows. I want to see you guys on the road. I'm working out my new hour and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Threat. So come hang out with mother. January 7th, Portland, Oregon. January 8th, Seattle, Washington. January 27th, Raleigh, North Carolina. January 28th, Austin, Texas. January 29th, Nashville, Tennessee. February 13th to the 14th, I'm in Janesville, Wisconsin. I have some European dates. Those are all on my site at brittanyschmitt.com, BrittanySchmitt.com. There's no D in that last name. I took all those in college. Okay? Okay. All right, you guys. I have something we need to talk about immediately because I am an idiot. I am the dumbest person I've ever met. And listen, I did a thing and I thought, I'm a big girl. I can do things on my own. And turns out I can't. So I have been promoting my special that it's coming out on OnlyFans TV and it's also going to be out on my YouTube. And guess what? If you guys went to go find it on my YouTube, it's not there because I found out 3 days before I was supposed to launch it that I signed a contract I didn't fully understand and I can't put it on my YouTube for a year. So it is on OnlyFans TV, which is, I know a lot of you don't watch that, don't have it. It's free. You can go watch it. You just have to make an account. There's no money. There's no strings attached. There's no commercials. It's an exclusive special. I would love if you guys went and watched it because I really do love this special and I'm super proud of it. And my dad's in it. And it was just so special to me. And I was so excited to share it with everyone. I still am. I'm a little bummed, obviously, that it's not coming out where I thought it would be coming out. But this is why I don't do things on my own. This is why I need parental guidance at all times. And guess what? My mom's dead. So I don't get any. It's just me and myself and my mirror and my demons. And I'm like this fucking Spider-Man meme. I'm like, we can do this without a lawyer because baby girl wanted to save that 10%. I don't know if you guys know how contracts work in LA, but when you have an agent and you have a lawyer and you have a manager, you have to pay them all 10%. And I was like, look at all this money I'm getting offered. It wasn't that much. I'll be honest. It wasn't that much, but I was like, I can do this on my own and I don't need to call my lawyer. And I am a big girl and I have ChatGPT and we can figure this out. And guess what? I didn't actually even run it through ChatGPT because if I had, it would have told me, hey, bitch, hey, bitch, ding dong. No, you can't put this on anything for a year. So I'm an idiot. Listen, I took the word of the person that I was communicating with and I asked them point blank, can I put this on my YouTube? And they said yes. And then they changed their tune. So, listen, I'm an idiot. I don't know what else to say. I love this special. I had so much fun making it. I actually really love the jokes, which for those of you who were with me on the journey with the last podcast, I fucking hated Horny. That last special I put out, that cursed fucking special I put out, I hated it. And I kind of thought I'm going to put it out and people might like it and then I'll come back around to it and I'll be like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. I've watched it a few times since then. It's as bad as I remember it being. But this one isn't. This one I had so much fun with. And I think it's just a different part of my life. I am so much lighter. I'm fucking medicated. If you look at Horny, you can tell that's a clinically depressed person that's about to hang themselves with the mic cord as their fucking final act. I'm surprised I didn't put it around my neck, kick the stool out from under me and be like, Tardar, as my last act. So listen, I just am in a different place from the last special I filmed. This special, I really did have so much fun with it. And I really wanted everyone to be able to see it on YouTube because I know that's so much more accessible than OnlyFans TV. But OnlyFans has, by and large, been great partners. And if I would have read the goddamn contract, I would have known that I couldn't put it out where I wanted to put it out. But I didn't because I am just a girl. I'm just a girl in a big world and it's very scary. Anyway, I'll never do anything without my lawyer again. And this was a lesson for me. And I will say this because we like to go on emotional journeys together. When I got the text message, because I posted on my story, I was like, specials out on YouTube and OnlyFans TV in a couple of days. Blah, 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 blah. And I got a text from someone at OnlyFans being like, hey, it's not coming out on YouTube. My fucking everything inside of me went like, like, what the fuck are you talking? The rage washed over me. And was I on an airplane? Yes. And when we're on airplanes, are we more emotional? Yes. I was ready to fucking hijack the plane and crash it into the fucking Sahara. I wasn't flying over the Sahara, but you get it. I would have crashed it into wherever we were. I was so angry for like 4 minutes. 4 minutes, I had rage just cooking and churning and twisting and making me uncomfortable. And I felt stupid and I felt dumb. And I just was like, and then something just clicked and it just released. And it was just that little voice that said, nothing matters. We're all going to die. You know, like really, I think like so much of what we talk about and go through on this podcast is I'm like, yeah, half of your life is what happens to you. The other half is how you react to it. Right. And in that moment, my reaction was the only thing making the situation uncomfortable. I had a few ways to approach it. Did I want to send a violent fucking email, like a nasty fucking email with a sign off that said like choke on a fucking Tic Tac? Yeah, I did. But I was like, is that going to be the best? Is that going to get me what I want? And ultimately what I want is for the special to be out in the world, for it to be as successful as possible. And I have no control over that anymore. Like it was my job. And this reminds me of a book I read in the past. It's called Big Magic. And Big Magic talks a lot about the creative process and how incredibly difficult it can be, how rewarding it is sometimes, just all assets of the creative process. And my job as an artist is to make the thing and put it out. And that is it. It is not my job to look at how people react to it. It is not my job. I cannot orchestrate whether or not it's a big hit or it's not. You know, I have no control. And so I really, not to be like, I'm so proud of myself. Like I'm not trying to huff my own shit here. Like I fucked up, but I was proud of myself that I didn't let it ruin my day. Like something just washed over me that was like kind of peace and calm. And I was like, you know what? No, we're not doing this. We're not going down this road again. We're not going to stress about something that we have no control over, because at the end of the day, we don't have control over anything. And the root of all suffering is the illusion of control. And so if I think, oh, if I put this thing out on YouTube, it's going to be a way bigger hit. Maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I don't fucking know anything at all. And at the end of the day, I went into business with a company that really did right by me. I mean, they shot a beautiful special. They promoted the shit out of it. They hired PR. They really did, you know, whatever you think about OnlyFans is none of my business, but they really were great partners. And because I didn't read the contract, I don't then have a right to be angry. Did someone at OnlyFans say that I could put it on YouTube when I explicitly asked? Yeah, they did. But I think maybe there was a miscommunication about the 12-month period where it was an exclusive release on OnlyFans. So that's neither here nor there. But all I'm saying is I took a minute to just be like, let's not let this ruin my life. You know, I have so much going on. I am in the middle of a cross-country move. I am launching a special. I just started this podcast, which I'm so happy about. Like the feedback has been amazing. And I know I'm not historically someone who reads comments, but I've read a lot of the comments and so many of them are kind. Are there a few that are like, yeah, she sounds fucking crazy? Yeah. And I get that because guess what? I am crazy. And doing a podcast solo, you guys, is a mental illness. Like it's a totally different thing when you're sitting across from a friend kikiing about life and being like, ah, ha, 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 as to like just me looking into the camera being like, brrr. Like this is, I do quite often feel mentally ill. So if you get that feeling, just know that I'm feeling it too. And my feelings actually are not even hurt. Like if this podcast is not your cup of tea, that's okay. Like I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And I know the other podcast and what we had was so wonderful. So I get that this is a different thing, but I just have a lot going on right now. I didn't have time to panic about whether or not the world was going to see this special. Like ultimately God's got it. And I hate to say that because I know some of you guys don't believe, and that's fine. Like I had such a hard time with the concept of a higher power for so long. And like the only way that I ever understood it, and maybe you've heard this story before, but like I was going through the 12 steps, and 12 steps has a lot of God talk. And I didn't like it. I was like allergic to it. I was like vomiting in my mouth about it. But I was doing the fourth step where I'm writing out all my resentments, which just, I was burning a hole in the fucking page. And I'm like, and this bitch from fourth grade, and blah, 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 and my cunty aunt, and my fucking mom. Like, I was so angry and enraged. And then Biggie started going crazy, and he was barking at this gardener outside, and he was like scared, and his hair was standing up, and he was freaking out. And I had just a moment of clarity where I was like, oh my God, if you zoom out, that's how my higher power looks at me. I'm Biggie. I'm the one freaking out in traffic, flipping people off, throwing my Taco Bell fucking Dr. Pepper into the open window of an Audi A5 when I'm elevated in a Jeep and they're pissing me off. That's a crime. You shouldn't do that. That's crazy. I did that once. But that's how I finally understood God. So in like the greatest sense of the word, like when I say God's got it, I just mean like I don't have it. I don't have it. I'm not in control. I've never been in control. I am aware that I'm the dumbest person in most rooms. So I can't even take on the responsibility of acting like I've got it, because I don't. So God's got it because I don't. Or maybe Biggie's got it, but probably not. He's shaking and cold and scared. And he's not with us. He was just in my lap, and then he left because mom started yapping again. Anyway, you guys, it's the holidays. It's the holidays. It's beginning to feel a lot like fuck this. It's Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever you celebrate. I hope you guys are having a great week. I'm going to talk about some light, fun holiday stuff. And by that, I mean, no, I'm not. No, I'm fucking not. I'm going to talk about how much the holidays fucking suck, okay? I know. Listen, I love the idea of the Christmas spirit. I really do. But for me and my household, the holidays, Christmas was chaos. Christmas was my mom's Super Bowl to be a fucking cunt. So I just want you to know, if you have a difficult or challenging family dynamic that you have to now pay money to go hang out with them, that sucks, and that's hard, and traveling sucks, and it's bad on your fucking body, and you're dehydrated, and you're cramped, and you're swollen, and you're not feeling real good, and then you have to go home and deal with your uncle who's fucking wearing an ICE uniform. You know, like, there's just Christmas can be the worst. And I will say this about the holidays. From where I'm from, there's this very waspy, and I don't know if it has a denomination. I don't know if it's Catholic. That's what our family is, but it might be Christian. There's like this very waspy attitude of like nobody really addresses any issues. You know, they're always just like everything's surface level, and then beneath the surface is just like this seething hatred for everyone around you. And you have to pretend that you like them, even though like deep down on a molecular level, you fucking don't. You know what I mean? Like I go into a Christmas party and they're like, oh, how's the weather in LA? And I'm like, how's the weather? Grandpa's a pedophile, you know? Like, what are we talking about here? We do not have the bandwidth to discuss the weather in LA, which is always amazing. I think we need to get into the root of what's wrong with this family, which is there has been some serious sex crimes that have happened, you know? Like, I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm being crazy. Everyone's just like hiding how they are. They're like, how are you? And it's like, I'm good. You know, it's meanwhile, like someone's like, I'm good. And I'm like, what they really mean is like, they spent all their money on DraftKings. They gambled on a fucking game. They're fresh out of cash. And they wish the bundt cake was lined with fentanyl, laced with fentanyl. Like we're all just hanging on by a fucking thread. Hang on. I have to cough. That cough is brought to you by Mr. Fogg, the vape. Anyway, it's the holidays. Everyone's hanging on by a fucking thread. We all have to go to these holiday gatherings, and these holiday gatherings are just an elaborate performance art piece to act like you're doing better than you are, because the holidays are a time, like we get like 3 times a year to check in with our family and make sure we all still have a fucking pulse. And you want to go and you buy people expensive gifts you can't afford to make them feel, you know, to make it look like you're doing better financially than you are. And then you're just in crippling debt and you're stressed, and the credit card companies are calling, and you can't pay your fucking rent. Groceries are $10,000. Like, being alive in this economy is tough, and holidays make it tougher because you have to travel. You have to spend money on flights, planes, trains, automobiles, however you're getting wherever you're going, you have to spend all of this money to go hang out with people you don't actually really fucking like. And you're not going to talk about anything real. Nobody's going to sit down. I would love for someone to be, for your fucking aunt to be like, hey, how's it going? And you'd be like, I thought about killing myself instead of getting on this fucking airplane because honestly, it seems better than hanging out with this family. I want you guys to go to your holiday party, look people dead in the eyes and tell them the truth. Be like, I can't fucking find an antidepressant that's working for me and I'm ready to take my own life. And listen, I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not true. And for what it's worth, ever since I've gotten on Lexapro, I don't really have those crazy thoughts anymore. And I call them crazy now in hindsight because that was my every single day. I just was I woke up every morning and I was my first thought was again, why? And then my second thought was whatever I had to do for the day. It's oh, go fucking buy a cucumber from the grocery store. I'm should I buy a cucumber or should I fucking kill myself? Or should I drink bleach? I think we need to hit our family with the truth of how fucking hard life is. And I don't want you guys to go sugarcoat your Christmas or whatever you celebrate, Hanukkah, whatever. I want you guys to all just be honest, cause some fucking chaos, choke slam your aunt into the fucking ham, fist fight. It's the worst thing in the world when there's just this underlying tension. There's this underlying tension of everyone kind of hates one person there. That person in my family is me, by the way. Everyone has to be oh, you came. I don't even get invited anymore. I don't want to go. Honestly, no thank you. But what am I saying here? I don't know. Fist fight your fucking family. That's what I'm saying. It's the holiday. Do you like how I started this segment and I was just we're going to talk about some light holiday stuff. And then I'm choke slam your aunt into the fucking ham. Okay. Oh my God, you guys. Anyway, I want to talk to you about some of my favorite little gifts. And I hope you buy them for yourself and no one else because nobody deserves them but you. And I just want all my besties to have the things that I use that make my life so much better. Okay, we're going to go through a little list of Christmas gifties that I want you guys to all stuff in your stocking. That's your pussy. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, Laneige lip mask. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not French, okay? Laneige, Laniege lip mask. I have tried every lip mask under the sun. This one, it's technically a night lip mask. I use it 24/7. It will make your lips look like they just got injections and it keeps them so hydrated and moist and plump and beautiful. And every time I wear it, everyone asks me what it is. There is not a friend in my friend group who hasn't asked me and now wears it and endorses it and loves it. It is the best lip mask. I found another one that I like, which I was very surprised by. The JLo Bezos is really good. So the lip mask is more of natural day, whatever, if you're not doing a full face. Also, when I do a full face, I do a liner and the Laneige lip mask and I blend it all together and it's perfect. So you can do that either way. But the Bezos by JLo is really great for if you're mixing it with a lipstick color. So if you want a lipstick, but you don't want your lips to be dried out like those matte lipsticks can do the JLo Bezos, mix it together, moisturize, plump, thank me later. And these are not, by the way, this is not a sponsored segment. This is just me telling you what I love all day, every day. So you guys can be a part of it. Like I said, this isn't sponsored, but that makes it more of an endorsement. I love the Berber hair care oil. That oil has changed my relationship with my hair. I was in such a dark place. For such a long time. And now that I feel it's starting to get healthy again and it's starting to grow, I can 100% say that's the Berber hair oil that I'm doing twice a week. Go on their site. Do use my code. It's Britt for 15% off. So definitely use it. But just know that even if they weren't sponsoring the podcast, I would endorse them anyway. Also, same goes with Fat Face Lotion, which is the lotion from A Life on the Lamb. That lotion is amazing. Like I said before, yeah, makes your face smell a little bit like dog food, and Biggie will lick it off. But it's delicious. It'll make you look 10 years younger. Speaking of 10 years younger, I was back in Wisconsin Mr. Manhattan and I went to Wisconsin to do an early Christmas with my family because we're going to be with his family in Connecticut for the holidays. But he was like, I need an under eye cream. My like under eyes are just like getting whatever. And so we went to Walmart. I mean, fucking yeah. I love Walmart. You can get 10,000 things for $5. Like it's amazing. But I went and got this under eye cream and I threw it in the cart for him and he picked it up and on it said, makes you look 10 years younger. And he just threw it in the cart and looked at me. He's like, pedophile. Because if he looked 10 years younger, he would be 17. So anyway, that was just a funny little aside. I love Walmart. And I went back there and our holiday, I'm gonna finish off my holiday list of things you can buy your loved ones. A loaded gun. No, I'm just kidding. I'm making a lot of suicide jokes on this podcast. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, I got myself in trouble for how much I talked about my mental health on the last podcast. I'll be honest. I was in the running for this really big show and I knew the person that was casting for it. I was a shoo-in and one of the things that they had to do was a mental health check. And I was a little too honest. I met with the psychiatrist. She's like, how many times have you done cocaine? And I was like, I have no idea. She's like, more than 10? I was like, yeah, I've done it more than 10 times in one night. Like, what are we talking about here? She's like,
hold on. One night's once.
Huh?
One night's once. You can't do it multiple times in a night. One night counts as one.
Okay. All right. See, I like that logic.
Yeah.
In which case I still have no idea. I mean, I don't know. Someone could say every single time you do a line is once.
Well, those people don't know a thing about cocaine.
Yeah. Well, those people are fucking idiots and we don't want you at our party, okay? No. So she's like, more than 10? And I was like, yeah, for sure. She's like, more than 100? I was like, yeah, probably. You know, and like everyone I talked to, because, you know, ultimately I did not get this thing. And part of it was, you know, me being too honest. But the other part was I spoke too openly about my struggles with suicide. And I will tell you this one thing. Not getting a really big job because you were suicidal makes you want to kill yourself. Like nothing. I had not had a suicidal thought since April. And when they told me I didn't get this job because my mental health was not stable enough, I was like, I'll show you. I'll fucking show you.
It was definitely the suey talk because Hollywood ain't afraid of a little cocaine.
Yeah, no, 100%. They were terrified that I would,
Those people are like, you got a good source?
Yeah. I would ruin their show by executing myself. So anyway, ho ho ho, happy holidays, you guys. Just a little light suicide talk, little, you know, light choke slam your aunt talk. It's just like you come to Talkin Schmitt for the light stuff, you know? Okay, what I've been doing so that you guys don't have to is watching all of the TV so I can tell you what you should watch and what you shouldn't watch. And I just finished one of the best shows that I've seen in a long time, and it's called All Her Fault, and it is on Peacock. And listen, Peacock is the bastard child of the streaming service. Peacock is the Jeannie the Feral Child of the streaming services. And if you don't know who Jeannie the Feral Child is, Google it right now. She basically was a girl. She became like this big something in psychology textbooks. She's a psychological, not phenomenon. I think it's just like what happens when you lock a girl in a room and chain her to a bucket she can piss in, and you never talk to her and you barely feed her. She just became like this feral, crotchety little, like imagine if you spent your whole life as like from a child to, I think they found her when she was 12 or something. Mike, can you look at Jeannie the Feral Child? Anyway, that's Peacock. Peacock, that is Peacock the streamer, and they don't usually have anything good going on, but I will say All Her Fault fucked me up. Like, it's one of those thrillers where every single episode you're like, it was that person, it was this person, it was this person, and you legitimately believe it and believe it and believe it, and then the end blows your fucking mind. Like, you really truly had no fucking clue what was going to happen until the last episode, and you're like, holy fucking shit.
What do you want to know about Jeannie?
When did they find her? How old was she when they found her? Was she like 12?
13.
13, 12. See, I was close. See, I got a psych minor, and I wasn't just sucking dick and chugging fucking vodka in college. I listened because I was interested. But yeah, Jeannie the Feral Child, that's Peacock. Peacock. That should be their logo. Just Genie, like hunched over. They're like, come give us water. We need food. We need toilet paper. Like, they're like, we have bills to pay. Listen, and here's the thing about Peacock. If you do it through Prime, you can, I think you get Peacock for like $10 a month, and you can just go get like the free subscription for 1 month and then cancel it. It would be worth it for this show. Or you could get it, think you're going to cancel it, never cancel it, and then, you know, pay $8,000 for the rest of your life. $8,000 over a lifetime. $10 a month times what? $10 a month times 12 is 120 times 60 is 7,200, I think. Can you check my math on that?
Math now too.
Sorry, never mind. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. Listen, you can either get a free subscription for a month, watch it, thank me, or you can think you're just going to get it for a month, keep it forever, and, you know, be deeply in debt to Peacock for the rest of your life. So those are your two options, but you need to watch it. It's so good. The show I need you guys to skip, and I need you guys to skip because I am furious at everyone who told me this show is amazing. Oh my God, it's going to blow your mind. It's so good. Pluberus? Is that how you say it? Pluberus?
Fight me.
I will fucking fight you. You think that show's good, Mike? Are you kidding me? It was like watching fucking paint dry. It was like watching the pyramids being built. Like it was like watching the Duomo. I'm like, I don't have 800 years. Did you like that show?
I do watch that show.
How do you say it? Pluberus?
I think it's plurbius.
Plurbius.
Maybe.
Fucking skip it. Fuck that show. None of it made sense. The premise is dumb. The aliens seem nice. She could just become an alien. Who cares?
Oh, because you'd be nice to him? You'd be just like her.
To a
You'd be
fucking
screaming
alien?
at them.
But she's just angry in every scene, and then nothing happens. And then it's like, we delivered your favorite breakfast from this place in Santa Barbara. It's so dumb. You actually like it?
Yeah.
Fuck. All right.
And when I saw that main character, I thought, this is what Brittany would be like. It's one of those things that maybe if you're too close to someone, you don't like it because it's similar. I don't know.
You hate in other people what you hate in yourself.
So do you see something in her? I don't know, but
well,
I see something in her.
She's a fucking... I also don't think her acting is that good. Do you think it is? I'm not saying I could do better. I'm not saying I could do better. But you like the show. You don't. There are people like dying on a fucking... This is the hill they're going to die on, that it's like the best show they've ever seen. And I think it's fucking dumb. I think it is a plotless, dumb,
the premise is insane.
It makes no sense. Biggie's coming out to tell you how dumb it is because he had to watch it too. And he's like, those are moments of my life I'll never get back.
There's a hive mind alien species trying to take over the world, and you're one of the few people who can stop it.
No, but she can.
So
I don't think she can. But they're nice.
It's the
Who
nicest
cares?
takeover ever. It's not a hostile takeover. Why would you not? That's what makes it so interesting.
But why would you not just be like, okay, I'll be an alien. Everything's fine. I would totally just be like, whatever, I'll be an alien. I'm not going to be like, I'm fighting for the human species. Have you met the human species? We're fucking horrible. Like, wipe us out and replace us with robots that can't do any harm or aliens that can't do any harm. Who are we fighting for, Mike? Who are we fighting for?
For me.
No. You're
Only
out.
for me.
You're fucking out. No, everyone, we need a hard reset. We need to go to as a fucking species.
You want Elon to just make us all?
Yes, as a species, we need to go to the Apple store and we need to all hard reset ourselves and come back. And when we're back online, we're just like, oh, it's really nice here. This is my favorite food. It's sunny outside. That would be nice. We're all too fucking angry and crazy. Look at me.
You'd hate all those people because you just got done saying, why can't we all go to Christmas and instead of being nice, why can't we just say how we really feel? Why can't we all just yell at each other?
Mike, come with me for the fucking plot. Stop fucking, don't do this to me. Okay, fine, whatever. Watch the show, I guess. You know what? I want you guys to watch the show. I want you to waste fucking 8 hours of your life watching that godforsaken show. And I want you to weigh in the comments and tell me if I'm right or if Mike's right. Is this show the best thing you've ever seen? Or are those precious hours of your life you're never going to get back? I really want to know. I really want to fucking know. So go ahead. Now you guys have homework. Go ahead. Okay. Listen, I know we're all traveling and I just want to give you some little travel tips. What is wrong with me? Travel tips. Here's something that I have noticed in my years of traveling constantly, always. When something happens on a plane, like an emergency, let's just say, everyone's like, "Ugh!" And I know that's the human reaction. I think we get startled and we want to help. Don't do that. Unless you're a doctor or a nurse, don't get up and gawk and stare. And somebody is having a fucking emergency and you looking at it, and like there's this weird thing about like humanity. And I think there's probably I don't know, I'm sure there's been a psychological study about this in the past, but there's something about humanity where when a disaster happens, we want to see it and we get like kind of off. You know, like it's like driving past a car wreck. You know, when you're in the back of the line, you're like, oh, everyone has to look. Everyone has to look. Can't they just drive past? And then it's your turn to drive past and you break your fucking neck and you go 2 miles an hour and you're just like, you know, don't do that. Don't do that. I was on a flight the other day. I was going to Palm Beach for the very first time, even though I'm moving there. I was going to Palm Beach and our flight was slightly delayed. There was some like technical issue and this girl got up. The plane was like a little hot and this girl got up and I'm an aisle seat girly because I have the bladder of I have a pee bladder. I have the tiniest little bladder and I have to pee 24/7. So I'm an aisle seat girly and this girl stands up to, I don't know what she was trying to do, but she didn't get to do it because she fucking fainted and she face planted right next to my chair. And I looked and then I went right back to meditating. Because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not going to make this situation better. So everyone jumps up and they're staring and they're looking and they're shouting and it's like pandemonium ensues. And it's like, hey, don't do that. You know, there's people on the flight. The flight attendants will figure it out. They'll call a medical. They'll find if there's a nurse or a doctor or whatever on the plane. And by the way, you know, when they say, hey, is there a doctor on the plane? That's when you need to look because that's when the doctors are standing up and maybe you could date them. You know, you could be like, check for a wedding ring. Are they available? Because if not, it's a single doctor. And that's what you need. That's what you really need out of the situation. We don't need this girl to come back to life. I'm just kidding. I knew she wasn't dead. She was like still breathing. She had just fainted. But yeah, I think if a medical emergency happens, try not to be the monster that's like hovering over a stranger who you don't know. That's crazy. Imagine waking up from fainting on an airplane, which nobody wants to do, and you open your eyes and it's blurry and you can barely see anything, and you just you look up and you see just some fucking guy mouth breathing into your fucking face like who the fuck is that? Nobody wants to wake up to that. Would you guys have some like, not you guys because you guys are all perfect, you know, you guys are great, but I'm just saying like people need to have a little more couth when they're out in the world and not be all up in people's business. Like that's a very, even though it happened publicly, that's a private thing and that's so embarrassing. And this girl handled it like a fucking G. Did she delay our flight 2 hours? Not 2 hours. Okay, 1 hour. It was already delayed 30 minutes. She delayed it another 30 minutes. Yeah, she did. And then she gets back on the plane and she just like, she literally did one of these hair flips and she's like, sorry, that was really dramatic. And I was like, hell yeah, way to have a sense of humor about it. Because like, yeah, this whole plane just like watched her and thought, you know, she died. And she's just like, sorry, that was really dramatic. I just have low blood sugar. And I was like, go off, diva. Go the fuck off. So that's my first travel tip. My second one is when you're up in the air and you're flying and you start crying and you're watching these shows and you're getting really emotional or you're getting mad at somebody who's texting you or something happens, just remember when you're elevated 30,000 feet in the air, that's not you. That's a different person. And that person shouldn't be sending text messages. They shouldn't be sending voice notes. They shouldn't really be doing anything. Honestly, it's a shame that Wi-Fi on airplanes exist because like you guys should all not be texting anyone. Like I had the most heated, not heated, but like passionate. Like I was so sure about something. I was texting Raina and I was flying and I was like, bah. You know, I was just like, am I making a huge mistake? What am I doing? Blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, she was being a great friend and she was listening and she was giving me advice. And then when I landed, I was like, never mind. I was just in the air and I was a little emotional. And she's like, that was pivotal information. Like you should have told me you're flying because when you're flying, you're not yourself. So just don't make any big texts. Don't send any crazy emails. Don't do anything that you would regret. While you're up there, maybe wait till you get on the ground. And then, you know, just to make you a little more comfortable while you travel, if you're traveling over like 3 hours, make sure you wear compression socks. I've been noticing this as I age. Hate that that's happening. My like joints are getting stiffer and it's because of a lack of blood flow. You know, you need blood flow. And like when your blood flows down, it's harder for it to flow up when you're on an airplane because of the barometric pressure. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, none of my business. Because of the pressure in the airplane. So stay hydrated. Drink water with electrolytes before, during, after. I cannot stress this enough. Water is the number one thing we all need to be drinking, a gallon a day, and you should drink more if you're traveling. And I know that sounds like a lot, but when I say that, like when I started drinking a gallon of water a day, the thing I noticed the most and the only thing I care about is my skin, because your skin, when it's hydrated, it hydrates from the inside out, right? So when you're seeing like fine lines, creases, wrinkles, all that stuff that starts to show up on our face as we age, drink water, because I promise you it'll make your skin juicier and more supple. And then also go get injections. You know what I mean? Go to your Botox, girl. I just got back from mine. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, my face is like this because of water. That's crazy. We all know it's a CO2 laser and filler and injections and anything that's non-invasive surgery. You guys, I have to tell you something so funny. I wanted to get an upper bleph. And for those of you who don't know what an upper bleph is, it's that upper eyelid surgery that makes you look like slightly more awake. And I emailed this doctor because Mr. Manhattan is going to Turkey for a hair transplant. And I was going to go with him and go to this plastic surgeon for a bleph. And I sent him a picture of my face, and he sent me back a quote for a facelift. For a fucking facelift. He had like red lines all over my face and was like, you don't need a bleph, you need an entire facelift. And I was like, hey man, are you on fucking acid? Like, I just want to look slightly more awake. I don't want to look like I'm falling out of an airplane at all times. So anyway, I decided against it. I'm kind of opting out. Listen, and this isn't going to be forever. This is going to be something I say on the podcast that I go back on immediately. And then like one day down the road, you guys are going to be like, but you said this. And I'm like, yeah, I say shit all the time. I mean it in the moment, and then I change. But I think in terms of like invasive plastic surgery, I'm going to stay away from it as long as I can, because it's just it's too risky. You know, we've seen when it goes south, and I don't want to do that. It's like, it's so much more emotionally exhausting if you like go in thinking you're going to look better and then afterwards you don't. I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth. I'm going through too much as it is. I don't need some self-imposed trauma of like a upper bleph gone wrong. Like, you saw Bradley Cooper's fucking plastic surgery? That is devastating. That was one of the most handsome men in Hollywood, and he got a facelift and a bleph, and the bleph made his eye sockets look like dark. Like his eyes are like, they look more set back in his head from whatever they did, because the skin, so he had hooded eyes like I have. But the problem is like the hooded eyes makes a natural coverage for the eye if you have a deeper eye. And so they got rid of that extra skin, but then it's just like the eyelid around the eyeball, but it's deep. So his eyes look like he's peering into two exhaust pipes. And it's just not a good look for old Brad. And I just don't get this. I really don't. Like, listen, women doing plastic surgery has been since the dawn of time. Like, we have been doing this to ourselves forever. We have this unmanageable beauty standard that's set for us by magazines and models and da-da-da-da-da. But men have always been told they look better as they age. And that's not untrue. And I think everyone looks better as they age. And you could get like a little help, but doing it more naturally. Like my grandma, when she, was a fucking grandma, I remember looking at her and constantly thinking like, this is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, her spirit was so light. Her laugh was contagious. She always had her hair and makeup done. She was just like gorgeous, stunning specimen. And she never, ever did anything except for use face lotion. So listen, I think it's definitely tougher to age naturally now, especially with social media and our overexposure to perfection. But I think what's sad that's happening as a result of this is that men are affected now too. Men in women's fields. We look at Zac Efron, who was a beautiful person, still is, but like the work he got done is kind of sad. And then Bradley Cooper. I just think he was so handsome and just stunning and talented and wonderful. I cannot imagine a world where he thought that was necessary. And look at it. And I think there's more, but I'm missing it. It just makes me kind of bummed out. So anyway, long story long, I'm avoiding plastic surgery. Tra-la-la, happy holidays. Our sponsor, Berber Hair Care, is honestly a perfect stocking stuffer. Oh boy, it's a perfect stocking stucker. And that's what I've been saying. It is a perfect stocking stuffer. And it's honestly probably too late to get it. But you know what? Stuff your own stocking in the new year and get yourself some Berber hair oil, because I want us all to have beautiful, long, healthy, shiny mermaid hair. And if you go to the Berber hair oil page and you see some of their before and afters, they are incredible. I'm still on my journey with them. I probably need a full year before I can do a before and after, but you know me, I had 4 hairs on my head and now I have a few more. But I really want you guys to enjoy this product as much as I do. Get the Derma hair roller. You don't have to get theirs. You can if you want to. It's amazing. You can get a Derma roller from anywhere, but make sure you get their hair oil. Use it twice a week. I do it before hair wash days. Rub it into the scalp. Do like 2 drops and put it on the rest of your hair. Slick back pony. Sleep in that bitch. Wake up. Wash it out. And honestly, your hair is going to thank you. Go to Berber.com, BUR.com. Use the code BRITT, BRITT, for 15% off your first order. Happy holidays. You guys. So listen to Mother. Compression socks for your flight. Electrolytes. Move your body every 60 minutes if you can. Get that aisle seat, girl. Go run up and down. Make people fucking scared. Be like, I'm practicing for the Olympics, okay? You got to move your body. Even after I sit here and do this podcast, crisscross applesauce for an hour, my legs hurt. And that's because I'm old. So you guys, for this episode, I was so excited. I was supposed to have my therapist on, but her kid got sick, so she couldn't be here, which is really upsetting because I love my therapist. I've worked with her consistently since, oh my God, it's been so long, 2015. I've been with her for 10 years, going on 11. And I don't think there's any person who has single-handedly changed my life more than Dana Maloney. And she is a cognitive behavioral therapist. She works out of Venice Beach, California. She does a more non-traditional approach to therapy. A lot of it is focused on cognitive behavioral therapy, which looks at, for those of you who aren't familiar, it looks at, not dangerous, but patterns of thinking or thought that don't really serve us. So like black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, those kinds of things. And then she helps you kind of rewire your brain so that those patterns and those kind of obsessive thoughts and things don't take over your life and fucking ruin it like they did to me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit. I wrote her questions and she responded. And as much as I want to dive into all of these, I do want to save some of it for when she does actually come on the podcast. But I think some of this will be helpful going into the holidays. So Good Enough Therapist is what her therapy is called. And she's said this is about bringing cognitive behavioral therapy into a palatable form. CBT simply is changing your core belief systems that are inaccurate or are not serving you. These beliefs drive how we think, feel, and behave, and yet these are not the reality. All of these come from us and not to us. That itself means we have control. The only problem with CBT is it's dry as fuck, tons of work, and unapproachable because of it. I set out to change that. So when I first went to her, I went in for OCD thinking that I would describe as like one of the most insane times of my life. I first started dating my ex-husband and he had an ex-wife and I was obsessed. I was obsessed. I would check her Instagram all the time. I would check her fucking LinkedIn. I was just like, I needed to know where she was, what she was doing, how she was spending her money, how she was spending her day. Like I was insane. And I couldn't even identify where that was coming from other than like probably a true fear of abandonment within the relationship, or a fear of like, if she comes back, then I no longer have my partner. So I was just like in this really disgusting obsessive loop. And I feel actually genuinely bad for anyone who was my friend during that time, because it was like, I was just like this venomous cunt to this person I didn't even know and didn't deserve like this amount of energy from me, and especially not this amount of hate. And I was just in a really dangerous loop, and Dana helped me not only identify that I had OCD thinking, but that also how to stop it, how to break it, what to do to kind of stop that loop. So she said, basically, I had OCD thinking, but you didn't diagnose me for a while. Can you explain to me what that is and how it works? And she said, I don't like to diagnose for a number of reasons under usual circumstances. For some treatments, diagnosing is necessary, like with something like bipolar or borderline personality disorder, when medication and specific therapies are at stake based on a diagnosis. It's a must. Otherwise, you can come to me with symptoms of depression, anxiety, OCD, and I don't usually see a point in labeling you. Oftentimes, we become a label, and that can backfire. In your case, and I don't know how many specifics you want to share, I just told you everything. You were in an obsessive loop. Since you're asking, the label would be something like purely obsessional OCD or pure O. It's when some heavy anxiety that typically contradicts who we are becomes trapped in a loop. So I think that's important. Heavy anxiety that typically contradicts who we are becomes trapped in a loop, because that was the thing. Like, I couldn't make sense of why I was obsessing and fixating on this one thing, because like I mentally, and this is something I struggle with, like where I can mentally know, like, don't give this energy to this person. It's coming back to you. Like, all energy you put out returns to you. I can know that, and that I can behave in a completely different way. And that's, you know, a little bit of a cognitive dissonance within myself, where I'm just like, fuck, and this isn't who I want to be. This isn't what I want to spend my energy on. So I think that's like a really profound way to put it. But the compulsions usually aren't outward, but more mental compulsions like checking. And you did a ton of checking, let's just say, but you came and you got through it in the most absolute sense, where I look back and realized I had forgotten about that specific rumination for a while, which says a ton. And yeah, she forgot about it because I had so many other issues. You know, I had so much other shit come up. One of the things that she did help me identify was what my mom's mental health struggle was. As I explained the relationship to her, she told me, you know, I can't diagnose someone I've never seen, but it sounds like, you know, she's borderline. And the question I asked her is, can we talk about borderline, how difficult it is to deal with, and how anyone who's listening that's dealing with a borderline person can help navigate those specifically painful relationships? So she's like, I likely said something more like, I can't diagnose a person I've never treated, but the symptoms you are talking about seem congruent with borderline personality disorder. It was obvious to me at the time, but I have to be careful with it. In your case, I felt like it would help you put the pieces of your life together. Sometimes when a loved one treats us a certain way for so long, specifically a role model like a mom whose job it is to take care of her daughter and to love her unconditionally, when that doesn't happen, we can turn inward and think that maybe we aren't lovable or it's my fault, which I've thought my entire life. I want it to be clear as day that not only was it not your fault in any way whatsoever, but that you deserve so much more. That you were dealt the shitty hand, and surviving what you did in the way that you did says a lot about your fortitude and strength. But the negative behaviors also make sense. Basically, that you make sense. The puzzle fits. I think it helps to know that we aren't like aliens who have drifted off into a land where we are unknown and alone and weird. No, you're exactly right, and you make total and complete sense. And I will say, like, once she helped me kind of identify my mom's mental illness, it did make sense. I finally started reading literature like Walking on Eggshells, which I've talked about before, or Mother Hunger, or like any of the multiple books that I've read to kind of help me cope with that hole that I had in my life where my mom was supposed to be. And then another question I asked her, and this might, you know, be pertinent to some of you who have more painful relationships with parents or family members, but I said, if a patient has a complicated or toxic relationship with a parent, do you have guidelines on how to handle that, and how do you feel about cutting a parent off? So she said, what you're talking about is a cutoff, and according to Bowen, cutoffs are never the answer. I think that's right in some ways, but I'd modify to say it probably is not the first line of treatment. We do some things first, like setting boundaries, communicating, changing ourselves before cutting someone out of the family completely. The less obvious reason for this is because we are all part of a family system, and when one person shifts and changes, it shifts and changes the entire system. So even just changing you changes the dynamics of the whole. But I'm not a dummy. There's only so much we can do. And if we're still being harmed and we've tried the options, they haven't worked, perhaps cutting off a parent, or rather shutting them out for a time being, is necessary. I would say maybe you close the door, but don't fully lock it. So there's one last thing I want to say from my therapist before, and she wrote so much more, and I really do want to have her on when, you know, life allows it. But this one, I think, was helpful because I've had a lot of you DM me about sobriety. And like I said, I'm not fucking perfect. But a lot of you, are either trying to quit or you're California sober or whatever you are. I've had a lot of DMs about this, but my therapist helped me identify my alcoholism. And she told me basically that for me to make a decision every day whether or not I was going to drink. And I could wake up in the morning and say I'm going to drink. And I could wake up every day and say I'm going to drink. And that would be fine. But if ever I woke up and said I'm not going to drink, then I couldn't drink that day. And I remember I had woken up on a random Wednesday and I was like, I'm not going to drink today. And I was on my second beer before I realized I had said that. And I was like, oh no. I'm not driving. Jesus, take the wheel. So she basically helped me get to a conclusion she had already gotten to. And so, I said to her, you used gentle parenting to help me get to a conclusion you already knew to be true. Explain this approach and how it's more helpful than telling someone point blank that they're an addict or alcoholic. And I think this feedback is important because, like I said, we are all going into the holidays, and I would bet every single one of us, if we're not an addict or an alcoholic ourselves, has someone in their family unit that is one. So watching someone kill themselves with drugs and alcohol can be so painful, and you feel so helpless, and you want to control it, and you want to help them, and you want to be like, do this thing, and you can't force them. And one thing addicts are is defiant. And if you tell them they're one thing, like I remember my mom told me like, you're an alcoholic, and I was like, I'll fucking show you an alcoholic, bitch. Like my whole life was an elaborate performance art piece to make my mom believe that I could drink and also have all the things that she couldn't have, and she couldn't have the things that I eventually worked so hard to get because her mental illness got in the way. So anyway, my whole performative art piece that I did for her didn't make a ton of sense. But that doesn't really matter. So anyway, she says, this one might be obvious, but there are a million places I try to get you to go, but I can't just tell you. I give you a map and you discover what's there on your own. Addiction is incredibly tricky because not only are addicts using the drugs to cope or for a reason they might want to hold on to, it's the fastest way to make someone put walls up and become defensive. And even if I did say something about what I believed and you agreed, it doesn't mean you're ready to go there and get sober. So the idea that it was gentle is maybe just you gaining an awareness with someone who cares about you and who won't judge you either way. You've always been the most willing to look at yourself in the mirror. You're not a person who avoids or denies. Once you know something, you tend to acknowledge it and grow from it. But also, that's why the line one day at a time exists. It's too daunting thinking beyond today when it comes to something we rely on. It's brilliant, really. I don't think AA would have many newcomers without the one day at a time. Okay, so this is actually the last thing I'm going to share with you because I've been open about my imperfect journey with trying to abstain from drugs and alcohol. But I said my journey with sobriety has been imperfect. I've gone back and forth with weed and mushrooms. Do you think sobriety is one size fits all, or can it be different for each individual person? And she said, this might be an unpopular opinion among some people. I absolutely don't think sobriety and 12-step is one size fits all. I don't think anything in life is black and white. Do I think a ton of people need to be abstinent from all drugs and alcohol? Yes, no doubt. And 12-step and the abstinence part has saved so many lives. But the funny thing is, and to take this convo back to cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the more common irrational cognitive distortions is black and white thinking, and another is overgeneralizing. Here's how I see AA, and please only use this as a metaphor and not a negative. Using abstinence for all cases of alcoholism is like using penicillin for all cases of bacteria. I can promise you it will work in most cases because it's the strongest, but there are more antibiotics that can fit specific ailments more pointedly. Does that make sense? In your case, like all cases, it was multi-coded and way more than the drinking and drugging. That's why I told you not to worry about relapse or whatever, because I think that's shaming for a lot of people. You have grown more in these last years than anyone I know, really. For anyone to take that away and reduce, I'm going to cry now. Okay, for anyone to take that away and reduce it down to relapse is a lie, in my opinion. I'm a big believer in following the spirit of the rule, not just the exact rule. For example, what's the spirit of the rule of sobriety? Like, why is it there? When you're taking mushrooms periodically and weed, I think you are adhering to the spirit and the rule of living a sober life, because we know sobriety is only a small part about abstaining. There's so much more juicy, valuable, wonderful insights that she has. But like I said, I am going to try really hard to get her back on this podcast before I move to Palm Beach. It might take a miracle and it might not happen, but I'm going to try my hardest because I do think she's a brilliant woman and she has helped me with my OCD thinking, with my depression, with my divorce, with my sobriety. She has helped me just become the person that I am today. I know it's like I had to do the work, but I wouldn't have gotten there without her guidance. And she's such a profound part of my journey. And I really want you guys to hear her and these answers come out of her own mouth. So I'm not going to cannibalize the rest of the interview and say things, I would rather that she just comes on. So we're going to wrap this episode up. We're going to do a little bit of bad advice. We're going to do bad advice. We are. Okay. I got a bad advice submission. By the way, submit to my DMs directly, or you can submit to the Talkin Schmitt DMs. I'm checking both and I need you guys to send in more. I just had one for this week, but it's a juicy one. Okay. I've been with my boyfriend for 8+ years and he still hasn't proposed, which is fine. Marriage isn't a must for me. We're both products of divorce. So messy, they should be on hoarders. I'm not trying to recreate that, but I'm almost 35 and my biological clock isn't ticking. It's detonating. I want a baby. He knows I want a baby and we have been to therapy about it, but he wants to wait. Like my ovaries are Amazon Prime and I can just deliver whenever I want. First of all, this girl's hilarious. Meanwhile, I'm Googling signs you're geriatric at 2 a.m. while he sleeps like a man with no deadlines. What do I do? A tale as old as time. You got to freeze your eggs. I mean, look into your insurance. This is the only thing you can do to free yourself from the pressure of the clock ticking backwards and feeling like it's detonating is freeze your eggs. And it can be expensive. So if that's not an option, you might have to get a new boyfriend. I don't know what to say. It's been 8 years. Like, what is he waiting on the world to change? Like, what's he waiting for? I just, it's you either want a kid or you don't. And that's something that I think you have to align on really early in a relationship, because this can be the impetus of a breakup or a heartbreak. Like if you really want a baby and you're really set on that and he wants to wait and you don't think you can. First of all, I would like to say that, like, I think I can't pass a certain age, that's not really real. Like, it's so rude that they call it a geriatric pregnancy after like 34, because I have had so many friends have healthy, beautiful babies in their 40s. But it is also an issue. The real issue is fertility and whether or not you will be fertile for the next 5 years. So I would say if you can, go look into freezing your eggs, because it's the only true freedom from this clock ticking backwards thing. Like when I got divorced, when I was married, I never thought I wanted kids. I never thought me and my ex-husband were like, nope, never. And then right when I got divorced, I was like, I had baby fever. I had never wanted a baby more. But I think the realization that I had was I didn't want a baby with my ex-husband. And that sucks to say, but like, I was taking care of him. I already had a kid, so I didn't want that. So I froze my eggs, and it's one of the best things I've done for myself, because I'm not on some crazy timeline. And, now that I do have a boyfriend who's significantly younger and definitely not ready for kids, it gives us a lot of freedom and leeway that, like, we're both in the camp, like, we're open to having babies, but it's never been either of ours like on the list of things we must do in this lifetime. Like, I'm not the person that grew up, and it sounds like you are, so this is definitely no shade. I had never grew up being like, I need to be a mother. Like, I didn't play dolls. I ripped my Barbie's head off and threw them in the fucking horse pasture. Okay. I was a little sadistic, but I also think, like, I look back at my mom's style of parenting and how irate she always was and how tired she always was and how she felt like she had no time for herself. And I remember one time she shook my shoulders and she looked me in the eyes. I think it was one of the only honest things she ever said to me. She said, don't ever have kids. They're going to ruin your life. And I felt that. I felt that in my like spinal cord. I was like, oh, she just told me the truth. But that said, you want kids, freeze your eggs if you can. If not, I do think you have to give them a deadline, because I think no matter what, no matter how many times I tell you like, oh, you can have a kid until you're 40 or whatever, there's a chance you can't. Like I also have friends that, really, really struggle or just simply cannot have kids past a certain age, and it's heartbreaking. So I don't want you to experience that heartbreak. So if you're not with a partner who's willing to commit to you in that way, which is something that you've been clear about from the jump, then I think you might have to cut your losses, because at the end of the day, having a baby is probably more important to you than having a non-committal boyfriend. But I think, it's tough for us when we put 8 years into something. It's like you want to see the ROI, right? You want the return on investment. You're like, what did I get from this? And sometimes you don't get anything. Sometimes all you do is get lessons, and then you lose a chunk of, no, I'm not saying you lose a chunk of your life, but like, sometimes it's a lesson rather than building a life with someone. And I think you just ultimately have to decide, like, also if this person's wishy-washy about having a kid, God forbid you have the kid with them, and then they don't want to be a parent, and then they can't show up for you, and then for whatever reason, whether you're a single mom or not, you feel like one because you don't have a partner that's in it. I think one of the best examples of true co-parenting brilliance is Alex Bennett and Harrison Fugman. Like, I have never seen a dad more excited to be a parent than Harrison. Like, he is making their kids costumes. He's taking care of Alex when she's pregnant. He's driving her everywhere. He does so much for her. And that is literally what you need in order to have a family that doesn't feel like a crushing responsibility. So I want you to take it all into effect. I don't want you to make someone rush into having a kid if they're not ready and they've specifically told you that. And then you get the baby and it's like, yippee. And then it's 18 years of you basically being a single parent. Like, that's another bad outcome. So I think I really want you to take a 360 look at this. If you can freeze your eggs, do that. If you can't, if your health insurance doesn't cover it, you're not in the position financially to cover it. I think you need to have a real come to Jesus with this man and also yourself and be like, is this the person that I want to build a family with? Your submission was hilarious. You should be a writer. I don't know. I just said amazing. You're doing amazing, sweetie. No, you are doing amazing. I know this is really challenging for a lot of women, and I just am sending you a ton of love, and I hope you figure it out. Okay, and we are going to end the show with a little word of the week, shall we? This is a fun one. Bedraggled. 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 It's an adjective. It means harried or in a condition of disarray, unkempt, dirty, and limp. Oh, we don't like a bedraggled dick, Nobody wants a bedraggled dick on Christmas. Can we keep the cocks hard on Christmas? It's all we're asking for. Just one day of the year. Put a little Blue Chew in your man's stocking and keep the cocks hard on Christmas. We don't want your bedraggled dick.
Those are family events.
Huh?
Those are family events.
What is?
Christmas.
Well, I know, but you're there with maybe a man, or you know what? Sometimes you leave Christmas to go get a bedraggled dick.
There you go.
Sometimes you leave Christmas, you fly out of after you choke slam your aunt in the fucking ham, you burn out of the driveway, you go to the local pub and you get yourself a bedraggled whiskey dick. Okay, anyway, a group of bedraggled orphans stood outside begging by the flickering gaslight. Well, that's sad. Okay. Bedraggled. That's a funny word.
Bedraggled's only going to come before the word dick in my world now.
Yeah, like, bedraggled dick.
Yeah. I only know it is a twofer.
Yeah, it is. It is 100% a twofer. Okay, you guys, I wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope you have a great New Year, all of those things. Please subscribe to my YouTube. Watch on YouTube, listen on Spotify, subscribe on Apple. Give mama some stars. Could you, for Christmas, you could give me some stars. I am trying to make this little podcast pop, and anything you can do to help me is super appreciated. I love you, besties, and I can't wait to see you next week.
And go watch the special on OnlyFans. We can't put the link in the bio because of YouTube community guidelines, and we don't want to get flagged, but go watch the special.
Oh, that's fun. That's a fun addition that I just found out about.